Hi, Jeff Simon here at Sun and Fun 2025. I'm here with JJ Frigge, president of Hartzell. Hartzell, how are you doing, JJ?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jeff?
This is, it's so exciting to see you guys here at the show, and we've been doing a lot more work together recently. And you may have seen us on a show that you appeared on SocialFlight Live, and we also did a special on our Cockpit to Cowl show with Brian Schiff, where we talked about a new white paper that you came out with that really shows the difference between Hartzell composite propellers and all the other technology that's out there from other brands. And it was remarkable. And I'll just say that was one of the most popular shows we did. We have over 2,000 people who attended live on that show. Tons and tons and tons of follow-ups afterwards, because when we showed these wood cores of the competition and what it means to have just a wood propeller sheathed in something versus a true completely composite carbon fiber propeller from Hartzell, it's mind-blowing.
Right. Yeah, we just want to make sure people understand what they're buying, right? And there's material properties and there's different value equations that you can sign up for, and we want to make sure folks know that not all composites are made the same, right? So what you get from us is kind of state-of-the-art, latest technology, carbon fiber over a foam core, with the structural integrity of that carbon that's really given the blade its certified pedigree. So it's great.
And when you say foam, people think like styrofoam, cooler foam, but when you see that cutaway, that is a very, very rigid core.
It's a dense, rigid foam core, and then we're laying up dozens of layers of carbon fiber over that to give it the structural integrity, and then integrating it into a stainless steel shank, which is really the key to the whole thing from a retention standpoint, where you're going to get that longevity around certified for unlimited life. So you can continue to overhaul it, restore it to factory dimensions. You don't have to worry about an aluminum shank that might wear or scuff or need to be polished up. The stainless steel is going to wear extremely well and be extremely durable over the long term.
That to me is one of the most important things. The idea, other props that I've used are life limited, and pretty much any prop blade is life limited simply because it takes about 3 overhaul cycles on an aluminum prop before you've shaved enough off of it that it just isn't going to meet minimum dimensions anymore.
That's right. Yeah, very utilitarian. We sell lots of aluminum props. They're great for a whole host of missions, but to your point, you are grinding on that blade and smoothing it during the overhaul process, and eventually you're going to go under the factory spec for the dimension, and you're going to have to scrap that blade out. So on the carbon fiber, you're adding material back in, as you said, and then essentially restoring it to factory new, which is great for not only the longevity of the blade, but the performance of the aircraft. So you're going to continue to get that same certified pedigree every time you go through the overhaul.
Wow. And for people who either, if you're here at the show, they've got the white paper available where you can learn about this. If you're not, you can just go to at the Hartzell Propeller website, and then they'll show you where you can download that and see it for yourself. But as a mechanic in the field and also an aircraft owner and operator, the idea of adding material to a propeller is a new concept, and I didn't really think about how important that is. And it's quite remarkable that you can get dings and you can get all the things we're used to getting of erosion, and you can bring the prop back to its regular dimensions over and over again, and how much work can be done in the field by a regular mechanic.
Right. So we have what we call a minor touch-up kit that you can purchase and put in your plane if you want to take care of those things in the field on your own. But these blades are very, very durable. They'll take some unimproved operations, and you won't even know that you've landed on a grass strip. They're extremely durable. So that carbon outer layer, and sometimes depending on the blade model, it's also got a mesh erosion screen as well, that is made out of nickel, and then the nickel cobalt leading edge as well. So that's that cobalt leading edge is 10 times stronger than the aluminum, and it'll really do a good job of protecting the whole blade from any type of damage.
Yeah, I was particularly impressed with the cutaways that we have. That it shows how far that nickel edge extends. Like you paint over it, it's not what you think. I think it's just this part. But it's quite a bit further.
About an inch and a half.
Yeah, and it's actually quite thick compared to the competition also. So it makes a really big difference. And I think for me, it changes the idea of what I have to worry about going into, I would say, slightly unimproved strips or grasp strips or things like that, where I've been much more worried that now I'm going to have to do nick repair in a way that's can't be repaired, in the future. So it's very, very cool. Anyway, I absolutely love it. We love it on the Bonanza, and then of course we're doing an episode coming up on the Mustang. We're going to be putting on one of those. So these amazing propellers and using this carbon fiber technology can even be done in a way that's retro for recreation, replica aircraft, and you're going to see a lot more of that in the future.
And we've got a ton of innovation that we're rolling out through Sun and Fun and through the spring and summer. All of our latest STCs and TC programs are carbon fiber. So you mentioned, looking at the legacy fleets, we're rolling out our Carbon Voyager now, which is a great complement, a carbon fiber option for the whole Skywagon series of Cessnas from 180s all the way to 206s. And it's a 3-blade, really, really great performer. It's kind of the brother to the Metal Voyager, which we launched about 5 years ago, and it's really the best performing propeller for that Skywagon series. So we're excited about that, as well as a host of other composite STCs we're rolling out this year.
A lot of secrets coming along, but and they're all going to be named right after cars.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we've got the Outlaw and the Talon and the Kestrel. So it's either aviation, like bird related, or it's good old automobile SUVs and minivans.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we're now going to go to another part of the Hartzell family. We're going to go over to Hartzell Engine Technologies now, because your booth here at the show just doesn't end. It just keeps going. It's almost the wall of Hangar B here.
Yeah.
That's
we're excited. It's 60 feet of Signia Aerospace, which is our parent company now. So we've historically been Hartzell Aviation, which is Hartzell Propeller, Hartzell Engine Tech, and Hartzell Aerospace Welding, and we welcomed in this year Cleveland Wheel and Brake, which is our new sister company under the Signia banner. So it's great. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks again.
You bet. Thank
and
you.
now we're going to go take a look at the rest of Hartzell. We're going to go over to Hartzell Engine Technology and talk a little bit more about that.
That's really often that what you would do. How are you, sir?
Hey, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. I just want to bring everybody over here. It may not be out at the moment as you're watching this video, but if it isn't, then check within 1 week, because I've got an article in AOPA coming out that's on Magnetos, and
it is the ES Magneto.
Yes, and so we're teaching people all about mechanical magnetos, what you can do to improve their service life and reliability. And I have great appreciation. This is old technology, right? 1890s.
Yes.
1890s is when this happened, and Magnetos flew on the Wright Flyer.
40 pounds
originally.
back then.
40-pound Magnetos.
That's right. That's right.
So you're talking about technology that's been around for a very long time, and yet it really matters to me when people improve upon it. I mean, my mission as a mechanic is making sure people understand the importance of a 500-hour inspection, and because in a mechanical part like this, it wears. Things do happen. You shouldn't run a Magneto to failure, even though you have redundancy.
Maintenance and upkeep is very important. Adhering to the 500-hour inspections and that's safety too.
Right. And so one of the things that I mentioned in this article, and I'd like you to talk about a bit, is that you've made improvements to the components themselves at typical failure points.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. Can you talk me through this a little bit? I want to start with this, which is the distributor gear. And one of the things that we get a lot of questions, this is, I think, in my experience, one of the most fragile components inside a Magneto.
Yes.
And just to show people, this is like the gear inside that spins and then distributes where the spark actually happens inside, where it goes, what spark plug is getting fired, what cylinder is getting fired.
That's correct.
Tell me two things. One, why are these made of a non-conductive kind of plastic type material, composite material? And then two, what have you done to improve them?
Well, it's where basically the arc of the spark comes from, right? That's what's transferring your spark as it distributes around. The big improvement with these is that it's heat staked in. So you're not just pinned, stamped in, it's heat staked, And if you notice the bottom there too, it's all in. So you can't, it won't come undone or spin or get that looseness on you that you might have in the older style. So it's a total redesign of how, which that is monoal material. It's just staked in, it's solid. It won't rotate, it can't come around. So it's all one piece now.
Okay. And the monoal resists the actual kind of wear and arcing that occurs because your spark is jumping across this gap.
Yes, as it goes around, that's correct.
Yeah. So I think, as I've understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, the real challenge with internal magneto components like this is you want it to be strong, right? You don't want teeth to be able to chip off or something like that.
Correct.
Or to crack with aging over time. But at the same time, you can't make it out of metal.
Yes. Well, there's the weight factor to it. Needs to be lightweight, needs to be durable. And that's also the reason for the inspections at 500. You're looking at these because these are wear components.
Right.
You know? Now, your service life expectancy of them is why you, safety-wise, 500 hour, you look at it. But service-wise, it could actually run the life of the mag, but you have to inspect it.
Yep. And these have had airworthiness directives from other manufacturers in the past where you've worried about this electrode coming loose. And so they've addressed that with this design. Let's talk about a couple other components.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the biggest ones that you've got here is the coil, right?
Correct.
So what have you guys done to improve magneto coils?
Well, I'm going to put my big one down here. I'll show you. You might need to get a little close up there for your camera. Yeah, but you see the lamb stacks? See how you have large lamb stacks on either side? So that way when you put the wedges in, you don't damage.
Yep.
It's also a more thermal sensitive or stable polymer material, so you don't have that thermal opener, the cracking that could occur. And it's a little bit larger of a coil, so it's just a little bit more powerful too.
So you've increased the power, you've increased the mechanical stability of it, both for installation as well as in cases of just what might happen with heat or other things.
That's right, what you get over time. And also your tab is stabilized in there, and you have that little bit thicker tab stabilized in that polymer too, so it's solid for when your brush is.
That feels like a rock, that thing right there. So this is another, failure point that I think will last a lot longer on that. And then let's go to another part here. This is a condenser capacitor. What have you done to this?
So there's actually two things in this that are pretty significant. It's internally grounded, so there's no more external solder ground up there that could, possibly crack, break off, corrode. So it's internally grounded, so the moment you screw it in, it's grounded. But the big one is that it is heat staked in there squarely, and you can't, basically, you could over torque it and break, okay,
right,
but you won't damage it.
You won't accidentally over torque it.
Correct.
Because this is the one thing for mechanics in the field over there, this is your P-lead. This is what you're attaching to. And so it's pretty common to attach and then unattach from this. And one of the things that happens when people do that is they get a little torque happy, right?
Yes.
And they turn it, and then all of a sudden it's turning. And they try to pretend it didn't happen. Usually when that happens, the mechanic's first reaction is, let's pretend that didn't happen.
And it's already damaged.
And it's already damaged.
That's right.
At that point. And so this new design addresses that, and that should help a lot. And then the last thing, this is an impulse coupling. And talk to me about this, because this has been the source of other ADs in the field, other impulse couplings. This is what helps get an engine started at the very beginning. What have you guys done to impulse couplings?
So the coupling itself, on their old design, of course, was 5 pieces and you were riveted. So you had a multi-piece coupling together. This is all one-piece hub, okay, thick one-piece milled hub. And then you also have a one-piece milled for basically, well, you'd have to look on your pawls too. That is actually milled. So you got solid shaft pawls that are pinned or staked on top.
So no more rivets.
That's right, no more
rivets.
rivets.
So these used to have rivets in this section, and you would have to check and see how loose is the rivet. Do you put a feeler gauge underneath? Because if these things fly off inside your engine, it's pretty bad.
I actually have the rivet style here too.
Okay.
That's your old rivet style. So you can actually see, if you flip that over, you'll see how the rivets were riveted on there. With this design, it's all solid one piece. So the pawls are actually resting on a solid shaft, and then they're staked at the top.
Wow.
So you don't have the rivets that can get loose.
Held in by what, a C-clip or something?
Very,
like
very
that?
similar. It's a little bit heavy duty C-clip,
okay,
that goes on. And then you have that, one spring's been removed on this side so I could show some people things, but that is basically essentially the way that it's done. So you don't have the through, you don't have the rivets that could get loose, and
Wow.
it's all milled from solid material.
Yeah. And then,
Hardened steel.
and then the last piece of the puzzle here are the points.
Those are the older points. Or
Okay.
slick. These are our points here. But you can see that it's actually it's a little bit hard, but you're actually stabilized a little. Basically, they're a little bit tougher because they're stainless steel. You won't get points drift over time, and it's all basically metal to metal. There's no plastic really in there.
Got it.
It's just a more solid stainless steel design.
Yeah, so this older design of, this is what we're used to seeing of points. And you can look in here and you can see I can bend that spring, and those are the contact points right in there. And this is what ends up getting you know, carbon on it, and
Yep.
resistance goes up and becomes a problem over time. And this is what causes internal mag timing drift. And then
these
it
are more
also can be
stable.
failure.
One of the other things that you mentioned too about carbon, the block assembly has suppression ribs built into it too, where your brush is, to prevent some of that carbon arc, and it's kind of a way of suppressing that. So the blocked assembly not only has that suppression built in because of those ribs, it's also basically asymmetrically designed. So you can only put it in one way. You can't
Right.
do it backwards.
Right. Well, I'm a big fan of mechanical magnetos. They are, you know, extremely reliable when you use them properly and you maintain them properly. You don't have to worry about backup batteries, special wiring, advanced timing issues, all sorts of other stuff. These things can be rock solid if you maintain them properly. And I really love that these things which have been traditional, let's say, vulnerable or weak points in any one of these magneto designs, you're now addressing with these power-up magnetos. So if you want to check this out, go to Hartzell online, Hartzell Engine Technologies. You'll be able to see their power-up magnetos, and I'm telling you, it's not much of a price difference. It makes sense if you're going to be doing your 500-hour magneto check to upgrade to the power-ups, because why not have all these improvements inside your engine? And I will say, I've seen situations, this is critical. If something happens, you have a like say a kickback on an engine.
That's right.
Or something that happens, like a sudden engine stoppage.
That's right.
You can damage the inside of this magneto. So it makes sense to check it out. And it also makes sense to have magneto that's as resilient as possible to these traditional failure points.
The biggest is maintenance. If you adhere to the maintenance, your 500-hour, your inspection, that's the key to a healthy magneto, and basically the engine itself is to make sure that you're doing the maintenance
Yeah.
and inspections.
Well, Alan, thank you so much
No,
for letting
thank
me
you.
visit with you here and kind of, I say, relay back what you've taught me about what's going on with power-up magnetos and all of the other components that you have here. And so for Sun and Fun 2025 here at Hartzell with all the different Hartzell companies, I'm Jeff Simon for SocialFlight. Blue skies.